I'm going to show you exactly the routine I use to loosen up my ankles right before I do any type of squatting or any sort of leg exercises that require to get my knee over my toe so I can get more range of motion, maximize muscle development, all that stuff. For this, I'd recommend having 2 yoga blocks. If you don't have 2 yoga blocks, you can just use the floor. But first, we're going to need to take our shoes off. All right, so once you have your shoes off, then you can come over here and place your feet on the floor, stretching the toes like this. So when you stretch the toes, you have a muscle and a tendon that actually blocks the ankle mobility if you have a stiff big toe. So we need to build from the ground up and lengthen this plantar fascia area, because if that's tight, we're just going to be building on a faulty foundation. So we need to start with a plantar fascia stretch. You should be able to sit here with my torso vertical like this for a full 60 seconds. If you can't do that, then you have some work to do. But if you can't do that, you could probably just put your hands on the floor like this. You can use, lean forward just a little bit. Just get to a point where this is more comfortable to hold. And if you want to make this more intense, you can lean back, and that puts more stretch on the toes and in the plantar fascia. So 60 seconds. Ideally, you also want to build it up to at least 2 minutes, which I know sounds like a lot, but just a 2-minute hold, actively pushing into the floor. So I'm flexing my toes. I'm like curling the toes, but I'm also like pushing my feet into the floor using my strength. All right, so right after you finish that, we're going to be doing the tibialis anterior stretch. So this is going to help improve plantar flexion, and it's going to help us prepare for the last thing, which we're going to do right after. So if you have those yoga blocks, you can place them right here, get your half of your foot on the yoga block, and then sit on your ankles. You're going to feel a stretch in the front side of your ankle right here. You can also kind of move around and just feel it out, kind of hunt for lines of tightness that are in the ankles. And this kind of opens up that front side of that ankle. And again, you want to be sitting tall, 60-second hold. If this is uncomfortable, then you have some work to do. So now, and I'm actively trying to point my toes or push my ankles in the block. So I'm trying to use my strength to kind of like almost lift myself up. But of course, I'm not lifting myself up. I'm just thinking about that to activate the muscles properly. Again, ideally you want to build up to 2 minutes, but 60 seconds is your first target. You just want to do 1 set of each of these exercises before your leg day. You don't want to be spending a ton of time doing this stuff, but do it every session. Every leg day you do this right before. It'll help prime those areas. And again, if you don't have the yoga blocks, what you can do is just use the floor. Okay, the floor is still a good enough stretch, and it's actually where most people would want to start because this is easier. Just make sure that you're standing up tall, you're using all the same cues, you're pushing into the floor, all that stuff. Again, if you lean back further, it's going to make it harder, and if you lean forward, it's going to make it easier. The last part of this is to stretch the soleus, or the calf muscle, the lower, deeper calf muscle. Now, the main way that I teach people to do this is actually to use a seated calf machine. But that requires a gym. Not all gyms have a seated calf machine. This is an alternative that you can use. You just sit on a bench and you have a weight. I'd recommend having a pretty heavy weight for this because the soleus is one of the strongest muscles in the entire human body. You want to have your foot angled so that if I were to try to press down on my knee like this, my heel right here, there's space in between the floor and my heel. That way I'm getting the full stretch. You can place the weight on your knee to intensify that stretch on the soleus. And you can either hold this for time, you can hold this for 60 seconds, 2 minutes, or you can do 25 reps. So you can do, that'd be 1 rep right there. Rep again, right? So this really digs into that Achilles, the lower calf muscle, the soleus. You would want to repeat on both sides. I'm just using a lighter weight because this is for demonstration purposes. So for this one, you don't need a slant board. You can use plates that are stacked, and you can do a calf stretch like this. So you just want to lean forward into it, and have your glute squeeze and lock your knee out. That's the most important thing. You want to have your knee completely locked out so that when you sink into it, you're going to feel this more in the upper calf. This is the final touch of the ankle mobility protocol. But I think this is really nice because it kind of gets into the entire calf a little bit in a different way than the seated version that we just did. So again, you're just going to hold this for 60 seconds. You can do, 15 reps like this without the heel touching the floor to make sure that you're getting the full stretch. And yeah, that's what I would recommend. Do that on both sides. And trust me, it's going to be a game changer. I know you probably can't see my face right there. I was probably out of the shot for a second. But yeah, really important stuff. Do this, and I guarantee you, you will see changes in your squat mobility and your positioning.